open educational resources. In continuation with that, today I'll be talking about another open source software which we can actually use for editing the video, because we all the people are currently creating lots of video for our online lectures, and most of the time we try to do the best from our side, but unfortunately there may be some interruptions. Maybe while you are recording, somebody makes a phone call, or like you are looking for some additional information you think will be more suitable for the student. So at that time you have to stop your video, and maybe power goes, or some other interruptions regularly used to come. In those kind of cases, the video may be truncated, or video may be not complete, or there may be some additional noises or other things which are there. And later on you realize, like, I mean, maybe you did a small mistake, or you should have corrected it. So these kind of things require you to edit the video, and the people generally use Microsoft PowerPoint for creating their video. That does not permit you to edit your video. So you need to have some additional option so that whatever you want to correct has to be done effectively. There are plenty of paid softwares that are available, but since I am actually more interested in having open source resources, so today we will be talking about OpenShot Video Editor. So this is absolutely free. Before we get into the actual thing, I'll just talk very briefly about some important things like A, B, C, D, E, F of our online lecture creation. So what is this A, B, C, D, E, F? Everybody knows this basic alphabets, but what is A refer to? A refers to accurate. So the videos what we create for our students has to be accurate, and it also needs to be brief. Otherwise, if we give like a politician, if we give a lecture for maybe hours together, students will be extremely bored and they don't want to watch your video, and they will also say, oh, that teacher, oh, he always bores, and he talks for too many hours without talking anything which is very relevant to us. So our lectures has to be brief so that it captures the attention, because the student's attention span is very, very less. And many research had identified that especially for our adult learners, the maximum span is between 8 to 10 minutes only. So yeah, our lectures are going to be an hour long. So in that case, how are you going to keep a person whose attention span is only 6 to 8 minutes, or maybe up to 10 minutes, that he has to listen to your lecture for 1 hour? So this is a great challenge we are actually, all the teachers are facing. So to address that concern, what we can do is, like, we can also make a brief videos, maybe for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, so that the entire time the student can focus more on whatever we are talking. So it has to be brief, and our delivery has to be clear, crystal clear. Otherwise, like, I mean, we cannot keep on confusing. Like, there are plenty of information available for every subject, where people talk about lots of different approaches or different theories. So at that time, if we keep on elaborating too many things which are not relevant to the students, then the student thinks, like, I mean, they are lost. So the lost in translation is a major hurdle, and our lectures has to be crystal clear, so that to the point we are talking, and this 30 minutes or maybe 1 hour what we are going to use can be extremely effectively used. And even 1 hour lecture which we generally give for the physical classroom can be condensed to somewhere between 20 to 25 minutes effective online lecture. So even half the time we can do the extremely better job compared to what we can do in the regular classroom. Because regular classroom, there are too many distractions. Maybe many places people used to take attendance and other things, and the students also keep on asking a lot of questions. So something may be relevant to the lectures or the topics what we are discussing, or something may be irrelevant, and we also have to announce so many things like, okay, what is the assignments you have to submit, or other additional information you have to keep on giving the students. And if some of the students are not attending the class, then you have to counsel them. So there are plenty of interventions which used to come in your regular classroom. which are not present in the online lectures. So we need to make our lectures crystal clear so that it is easy to understand. And then it has to be descriptive. Like, of course, this as a teacher, I don't want to talk more about that. And the next two part are the most challenging one, keeping it engaging and keeping it fun. So because in the regular classroom, we can actually look at the students' eyes and we know whether they are understanding or not understanding. So based on that, we are actually getting a best cue. And from that cue, we can actually adjust our delivery. Then and there, it is possible for us to do in the physical classroom. But in the online classroom, what happens? There is lots of bandwidth issues. So in that case, we don't even see the student, and they also mute their video. We also request them to mute the video because it will disturb others. Cannot those who are having a poor connection cannot even join that lectures. So we only ask them to keep it only in the audio mode in most of the time. So at that time, we don't even see what the student is looking, whether they are actually listening to the lectures or simply they turn it on and they move away. We don't even have any idea. So these are major limitations, and how are we going to address this? That is the major thing. So we have to keep our lectures engaging and we have to keep it little bit fun. Of course, in the regular classroom, you can crack a joke and you know the students' responses. But in the online forum, you really don't know whether the students are taking it in the right sense or in the jovial way or they are taking it seriously. So integrating fun to the online lectures is a little bit challenging one. But keeping it a little bit more interactive or engaging is the best way for you to address the students' learning process. So here are some of the advantage and limitations of online courses. These are two textual information. So I will leave it you to read it later on because I'll be sharing this. So you can just go through some of these things. And how are you going to create your online courses? Everybody is already aware of it. The first one is the idea generation is a crucial one. Once you have the idea, we have to create a presentation. So that is what lights, camera, and action. So we are actually becoming a director, taking a movie. So creating online lectures is no different from creating a movie, basically. So here also we have actors here, we have a storyline, we have scripts, many things are very similar, and acting is the only thing. So the teacher is basically acting in front of the camera. The only thing is there are no director to say, okay, start action and other things. It's basically understood that we have to do all the things on our own. So we are actually like a movie producer making our cinema to the students. And the next one is once you have your lectures, you can actually create some reading materials or notes for the students, which can go along with your online lecture. So this is the regular practice everybody is doing. And what are all the ways by which we create is actually given here. So we create the creation of the course and we also share it with the students. We can either upload it or email it to the students. And monitoring is the most difficult part, like how are we going to monitor? So taking attendance, many places they say either in the beginning of the lecture or in the middle of the lecture or maybe at the end of the lecture, they generally do it so that the students are present during the entire session, and submitting assignments and whether they are giving it on time or because in the digital world you can actually make it time bound, and basically the email can be triggered telling that okay, these many students had actually submitted the assignment, so you can actually keep track of it in a much more efficient way. So this is how you can actually monitor how the students are taking or consuming the materials what you are giving. And you can also have discussion forums if the students are having some doubts. See, peer learning is one important aspect, and the peer learning actually happens much more in the online forum compared to the regular physical classroom. The reason is like you can also keep the students anonymous if they want to express something. Maybe for the classroom teaching, you may not have to look at the anonymity, but if you are going it for an online class for the massive open courses where hundreds and thousands of students are registered, you can also keep it anonymous if somebody wants to make some comment. And you also need to have the rules for your or nets etiquette they say is required for your discussion forums, and all the discussions has to be approved by the administrator, that is the teacher has to approve it. If you want, you can also appoint some teaching assistants for your thing. So these are some of the things available to you. And if you are guiding some PhD students, you can also ask your PhD students to support your classroom activities, monitoring the students' responses, and you can also make an email trigger that whenever a person posts a question, it will send it, come to your email address, and you also can check. And you can also ask your students to share their own thoughts. That is, the peer learning is the most important thing. The student is much more comfortable asking his friend rather than coming to the teacher, because there is always a barrier thinking that if I ask a wrong question, the teacher may think about me very badly. So I really don't want to ask the question. So this is the mindset most of the students are having. So as a teacher, what we can do is we can identify some good students from all the students, and we can also tell them, okay, if any of your friends are having any problem, and if they are finding it difficult to approach me, don't bother, you can actually talk to them, and you can also get those information to me if they are a little bit hesitant to approach me directly. So like that, you can also make a few students responsible for doing this peer learning activities. And you can also tell them, if you want, you can also help your students, your fellow students, and that way there is a good healthy interaction which is going on. So you can also encourage these kind of activities. And of course, evaluation is the teacher's area, where we can put quiz, crossword puzzles, or you can also use Google Forms. So some of these evaluations can be made interactive. So that's what, when we say we have to keep the students engaged, then basically quiz, filling the blanks, and the crossword puzzles are more or less similar answers. So instead of giving a quiz, you can also give multiple select questions, because instead of multiple choice questions, they can randomly choose a correct answer. But if you give a multiple select question, then they have to think and answer those questions. So these are some of the ways by which you can actually increase the interactivity of the students with your teaching learning materials. And of course, if somebody is interested in creating course for the SWAYAM, all the things, whatever we have seen, are exactly the same creation of the course, reading material, that is creating e-learning text materials, interactions, and evaluations. All the four components are very similar. The only thing missing is the student monitoring process. So that is generally not present in the SWAYAM, whereas in your regular classroom, you may have it. Now you will be asking, we are going to talk about OpenShot editor, and he is talking something entirely different. But unfortunately, before we get into creating video lectures and editing, we do need to have what is the actual way of creating the lectures. And if we create a good quality video lecture, we don't even have to go for the editing part. So that is the reason I just give some brief information about how effectively and efficiently we can create our lectures, so that the use of OpenShot editors or even editing is completely reduced or completely avoided. So the technical requirements for creating your course is you need to have a PC, you need to have some good internet connectivity, you need to have a webcam, and you also need to have a good headphone. And some important softwares are also required. So these are all the technical requirements for creating your course. Because if you create a lecture which is not having any glitches, then obviously today's lecture session is not at all required. So that is what our main objective is. We need to avoid the editing as far as possible. So if we can do a better job in the beginning itself, okay, then skip the editing part. But of course, there are some limitations are there. So due to which you do need to do an editing, then we can actually continue with the editing process. So you can also join some of the online courses to see how some of the courses are being developed and how the delivery aspect is there, how the interactivity is done. So we generally, as a teacher, are generally an explorer. So we keep on reading lots of information, and we are also looking at how the other are the best practices that are being followed throughout the world. So this also enhances you that what is the Can you please mute the your mic, please?
Sorry, sir, I have
No
muted
problem,
that
no
person.
problem, no problem. So we have Coursera, Udemy, Udacity, and even our Swayam portal is available for getting into some online courses. So this will give some brief information about how other people are doing it and what is the best practices that is being followed. And you can also use those kind of best practices in your classroom teaching learning activities. So here I just go through some of the important things like familiarize yourself with the tools and technique, because this is the most important thing. If you are not familiar with what is the tool you are using and what are the features that is available with the tool, then it is going to be very difficult for you to get the exact thing what you want. And keep yourself updated. Just you can read some blogs and you can keep on reading some things whenever you find some time. And you can also apply Jugaad, because this Jugaad application is the most important thing for our Indian continent context and the continent, because we really don't want to spend a lot of money in many things, purchasing softwares or buying new things. So Jugaad way, even if you have a mobile phone, with your mobile phone, you can even create a best lectures. So these are all some of the Jugaad, because everybody is having a smartphone and a mobile phone. And of course, not everybody will be having their own laptops. So if the official computers are given to you, then at least you can also make use of it. And what is the best way to make the things with the minimum resources is basically the Jugaad. So we are Indians are very good at that, and you can also look at some of those ways how you can efficiently create it. And working every day is very, very essential, because if you miss some days, then actually the workload increases exponentially. So working every day on that particular project, that means creation of lectures and the notes, is a very, very good practice. If you are recording, the best option will be either early morning or late night, where the external sounds are minimum or it is absent. So you can peacefully record it. But of course, in the winter time, waking up early in the morning is a pretty challenging one. So you can, if you are like burning the midnight oil or like a night owl like me, you can work a little bit late. So that is also possible. And this is the most important thing. Present to your kids first, because they are the best critic in the entire world. Even your spouse will not criticize you, but your kids can criticize you very effectively, and you never get angry on your kid because you love them. So that is the reason, like, I mean, when they say, Dad, this is horrible, this color is, I mean, I don't like this color. Why did you choose this color? Dad, have some sense. Like that, they will create lots and lots of things, because if they are from the younger generation, especially the college going, then you can also get to know about the feels and vibes of the students, your own students. So that way the student or your kids will exactly tell what is the current trend and how the things are going on. So that is the reason I always present it first to my kid. And she is like a brutally honest people. So they want their dad or mom to be the best one in the country or in the world. So they will always say, Dad, this is a horrible thing. This color scheme is very horrible. Why don't you have some thinking process properly? Like that, they will just make any comment. And don't worry, because they are your own kids. So you will be also okay. They want for my betterment. If the same is coming from your spouse, you will think like, what do you know? You don't know anything. Just keep quiet. This is what the answer we generally say. But for the kids, we give the 100% freedom. So show to them, and they will make your work the best one possible. And another best thing is, like, I mean, if you don't get it in the right in the first time, don't worry. You can keep on trying a number of times. See, this is one of the advantage with the digital one. Say, for example, if you look at the old generation people, I'll talk about the music directors. So if they are recording a song, what happens is, if there is one tala or one beat is missed in a particular song, what they used to do, they have to redo the entire thing, entire 5 minutes or maybe 10 minutes song. They will have to redo that once again. So that way, even for recording one single song, they used to take a couple of days sometimes, because there is one small error. But fortunately, in the digital world, you can only remove that particular section and reshoot that particular section, and you are done with that. So this is one way of what do you mean say, a benefit for you, but there are always pros and cons for everything. So the digital world actually helps you do that, and digital editing, that's what we are talking about today, is an excellent thing where the entire thing can be retained and only the part which is having that error or the mistake can be rectified or removed. So that way the digital world is really a good one for you, and you keep cool. So if something doesn't come out as you expected in the first time, don't worry about that. You can redo that, and always there is a next time, next chance. And I'll just go through some of these things. What are the components? We have to create a video component, audio contents, reading materials, evaluation, feedback, and interactivity. These are the general things we are already aware. You can have the infrastructure at home, or it can be available in the office. And if you are working from a college or a university, then you do need some administrative and the ICT support for creating it. And what are the different types of presentations? I'll just briefly go through. There are talking head presentation. You will be seeing like only the person is speaking, or it can be a picture-in-picture mode where the entire video screen, especially the PowerPoint, uses this kind of things. And you can also have a voiceover presentation. You just run the presentation and you just narrate from the script what you have. Or you can also capture the classroom lectures, or you can have an interactive one. Or you can also do a screen capture like when you are doing some demonstration like here. So you can actually capture your entire screen, and you also make simulations. If you are a computer science subject, if you are going to teach, you can also use simulation. So these are all the different types of video presentation you can actually make. And if you want to create your lectures, so how best you can do it? Basically, some people prefer extempore speaking, some people prefer scripts. So I would rather like, depending on how you want to present, if you are going to present for your classroom, you can do a extempore speaking. If you are creating for an online course, like mainly for Swayam platform or other reputed one, having a script is always better, because there you will not be fumbling. The main reason is like when you are making a video lectures, we will be searching for words most of the time, and even though we are an expert, we always have a consciousness like, oh, if I make something mistake, so what is going to happen? So when you are camera conscious, what happens is our mind cannot handle too many things simultaneously. So you just skip some of the important points which you want to speak, and sometimes your expressions may not be good. Then you say, oh, I have to redo the same thing. It's boring. So many things will come. So having a script in hand is always better, so that you can actually read it, and you can also practice to make it like, if you have to speak for 10 minutes, you can make it much more effective with the written script compared to extempore speaking. And you can also follow storyboards. You can have the limit on the lecture time. You can include images and pictures. As I mentioned, you can also use OER materials while you are creating. And planning. Planning is very, very essential, because many times some unanticipated things will come while we are creating the lectures. So we have to be a little bit careful, and practice if you want to make it perfect. So practice makes perfect. And of course, I always say keep cool. Like, I mean, we get frustrated very quickly if the things doesn't come out properly. But keeping cool actually helps you move forward in a much more nice and a simpler way, without taking stress on you. So we will talk about some basic video creation. So there are some colors I had put actually. So this is the standard definition format. In olden days, the TVs used to have the standard definition format, which is a 4:3 aspect ratio. So this is 640 by 480 resolution, they say, or the pixel height. So that is what I have written here. And currently, many of the televisions have the 720p or the HD, they call it. Actually, this is not true HD. This is somewhat equivalent to HD1. So the resolutions are 180 by 1280 by 720, and this is having the 16:9. That is the widescreen format. This is what generally used for creating the current high definition videos. And the true HD is 1080p or 1920 by 1080 resolution. And this is also having a 16:9 aspect ratio. And of course, we have 3K or 4K videos currently. So these are the different display resolutions you need to keep in mind while creating your lectures. Currently, people prefer the high definition one, which is the 720p resolution or 1080p resolution, which is having a 16:9 aspect ratio. So what are the different file types? You already know this movie type MP4, AVI, WME, DivX, and see this flash wave and the shock wave files are no longer used because these are Adobe's formats and the people generally don't use now. 3GP is mainly for the mobile phones and WebM is mainly for the mobile browsers. So these are all the different video file types. So why you need to know all these things is when you are exporting your classroom video, you do need to know which format you are exporting so that there are certain limitations. We will look at the limitations, then you will understand why we have to know at least about all these spaces. And then we have different specifications, that is coding and decoding is generally done for the videos. So we have different specifications which are available. This H264 is the latest one. People try to use it. Here we have high compressed, high quality videos, and DV is basically digital videos, which is the lossless compression mode. That means the file size are going to be extremely high, and AVCHD is again a high definition format. So these are some of the things, and the .html5 is generally used for web browsers. So why we need to know about the file size, file name, and other things? Here it is given. VCD is a very old format where an 800 MB of a file gives 80 minutes of the video. But if you look at the dimension, it is even half the dimension of the standard definition. Standard definition is 640 by 480. This is even half that size only. So that means if you expand that to the fit into your current screen, you will see pixelation of the images. So that is where this is a very old and low quality format. And then it came the DVD format, which is somewhat okay. 80 minutes of the video occupies 4.7 GB file size. So that means it is a little bit higher. And when we go to AVI file format, it is a lossless format and the file sizes are going to be much higher. And currently we have the MP4 format or the H264 where 2 GB that English movies, whatever you are watching, it's 1.5 hours movies come in 2 GBs. So this is still very good quality, but the compression is also there. So why we need to know about the file size? When you are creating the videos, if you create a very huge file size, you cannot even upload it to some place where the student can actually watch it. And even today's lecture, because of the bandwidth issue, if we have a high definition video, then people cannot even watch it, even though you are putting a lot of effort in creating it to the best quality possible. Unfortunately, the other people, that is the students and the other people to whom you actually want to share, cannot even look at it because of the huge file size. So there has to be a compromise between the video quality and the file size. So this you have to do it beforehand. That means while you are creating the file itself, you have to decide on all these factors. So once you do this correct in the beginning, then it becomes much easier for the receiver to receive it and watch it very carefully. So some tools required for enhancing your audio quality, you can use some external mics. One company, I generally use this company, Boya BY omnidirectional mics. This increases the audio quality of your lectures, and you can also use some external camera, because here again today I'm using an external camera, which is a high definition one. So the clarity will be much higher compared to what is the laptop's inbuilt one. So these are some of the ways by which you can create some good quality videos. And some softwares you can use like a Microsoft Office or Office for Mac, and the screen recording softwares are available. So these are all the different tools which are available to you for creating a lecture. Now the question is, okay, what is the best cutting tool? Here I want your answer. I had put some of the cutting tools available. So what is the best cutting tool? Can someone say? I cannot hear. Your voice is echoing. Can you slowly speak? Maybe you can type it, and maybe the madam can actually look at it and tell it. So basically, this cutting tool is very difficult to define. The problem is, what is the job you are going to perform? That is what will decide what type of the cutting tool you are actually going to use it. So if your job is to cut a tree, then what is the tool you can actually use? You can use a mechanical saw, or this saw which we use it manually, or you can also use axe if it is little bit more powerful. But you can never use this blade, or maybe this plant cutting scissors you cannot use to cut an entire tree. So why we need to know this? The reason is, there are plenty of softwares that are available, but what is the task at hand, you do need to know. Without knowing what is the task at hand, having the software, that is having the cutting tool, is not going to solve your problem. So this is where what is essential is, you do need to know what is the job, because many people used to ask this question, sir, I have the software, but I am unable to do this job. The reason is, the software has few features. The software is mainly created for a particular job, and unless you use that particular software for that particular job, you cannot do some other jobs with that particular software. So this is what availability of the tool and the task at hand has to match together. Then only we can actually perform the job effectively. Otherwise, we cannot do it. Now, can I say that this blade or this small scissors, is it of no use because we cannot use it for a cutting tree? Yeah, obviously for the cutting tree, we cannot use this software, but that does not mean that these two are useless tools. Reason? If I have to cut a straw, then I have to only use the small tools. I cannot use this mechanical saw or this big saw. I cannot use it to cut a small straw. So this is where the importance of knowing the tools is very, very essential, because unless you know the features of the softwares, you cannot even perform the editing job. So these two has to go hand in hand. Then only you can do the effective editing. So some examples I had given about the live stream and recorded lectures. So you can actually go through that leisurely. Let us come to the our OpenChart editor. So how to download this software, I'll first show. Actually, there is some since we are having this online demonstration, I am unable to log into, browse the internet to show a demonstration, because generally what I do is I also do a demonstration simultaneously. Since the time is little bit less, I cannot do the demonstration. You can all search the Google by typing OpenChart in the search bar. Then it will come out with the first link is basically the OpenChart video editor. And this is, once you click on that, you will go to this OpenChart video editor site. This is available for this Penguin is basically the Linux version. This Cut Apple is the Mac version, and this Windows is the Windows version. So this is available for all the three, and this is basically a open source software. So you can download this software. When you go to the next screen, you will see this download. This option is available. So once you click on this download option, it will download onto your computer, and you can actually install it. So there are various features which are available on this particular software. So it is basically cross-platform. That means you can use it on Mac, Linux, or Windows. Any of the platform you can use it. You can trim and slice the videos. You can do animations and keyframes. You can edit the audios. You can add video effects. You can add lots of tracks into that, and you can introduce some titles, 3D animations. Of course, as I mentioned in the beginning, when you are creating a video lectures, basically you are becoming like a movie director. So editing the video is also part of your job. So that is the reason. If you want to be a little bit adventurous, you can actually make use of this 3D animation, slow motion, time effects, and other things. But generally, for your classroom lectures, it is not required. So you can skip on that. But if you want to show some specific demonstration to the students, and you think if you are a little bit creative, then sky is the limit for you. So you can just explore these kind of options, and you can also make your videos much more engaging. See, the more and more effort you put on creating a good quality video, the students are going to like it, and they will surely say, oh, this is the best way I could understand this concept. And if I read the book also, I can never get it, but my teacher explained it in a much more candid way within this 2 minutes or 3 minutes of video. So this is the appreciation you will be getting, because as I told earlier also, teaching is a thankless job, and the moment the student appreciates you, that is the biggest reward you can ever get in your lifetime. So for that, we do need to put little bit effort, and these kind of tools and softwares helps you achieve that. So this is the interface you will be getting it. Once you click on the software, you will be looking at this kind of interface. So here you have the project files. So the project file is the area where we will be actually importing. See, if you many people are aware of this VLC player or Windows Media Player. So what do they do? Once you click on the video file, they will automatically start playing, because they are basically players. They are not editors. So editors are different from players. So this software is basically a editing software. This is not a player software. So how do we actually do this editing part? If you double click on the file, it will not open in the OpenShot video editor. So what you have to do is you have to actually bring that file into the project file area. So we have to import the file into the project file area. Now I will give a small analogy. How are we going to do that? You want to make a pulao for today's lunch. So how do you do it? You go to the shop, you collect many materials, right? You get maybe tomato, carrot, peas, baby corn, whatever you feel like, you get all the vegetables, okay? And then what do? You will decide on what type of the masala you are actually going to use for that. And you also know you need a couple of flavors. You generally use turmeric. You may also use the chili powder. Either it can be the red chili, or maybe it is the Kashmiri mirchi, or similar things you will be collecting. And you will also, if you are interested, you can also take a ginger and the garlic paste also you can include. So these are actually spices. So what are these spices going to do? They are going to enhance the flavor of the food what you are actually going to create. And how do you do that? You bring all the vegetables, you wash it, then what you do? The next job what you do is you are going to cut it. So where do you cut? You basically cut it on a cutting plate, whatever you have. It can be a wooden one or a plastic one, or even some people use a glass one. So the individual pieces, individual vegetables are there in the bag that you are bringing to the cutting area. And this is where this project file area is the cutting area for your videos. The videos may be from, maybe it can be an audio file, it can be of different size. Maybe it is having the orange color like a carrot, or it may be a red color like a tomato, or it may be the green color like a capsicum. So these are all the different files you are actually having it. And those files are brought to the cutting area, that is the project file area. And once you have these files in the project file area, what you do next? You take the knife and cut them. So basically you put all the vegetables into this particular track area. This is what we call like a timeline. And here you have the scissors. Basically for cutting your vegetable, you use a knife. For cutting our video files, we use the scissors. So this is like a paper cutting. So you cut this, whatever the vegetables you are putting here, that is the video files putting here in the tracks, you cut it. And once you cut it, then what you do? You actually add some masala and other recipes. Maybe you boil oil in the pan and then add this masalas and other things. So that is the filter effects we will be actually talking about. We have filters. So those effect can be added to these particular videos. So you are actually spicing up your video files by these transitions and whatever other filters you want to use. You want to change the color or you want to inverse it. So those are all the additional things you are doing it. Why are you doing it? You are going to increase the taste of the food. The same way you are going to increase the look of your video. So that is what you are doing with these kind of additional things. And finally, what you do, you cook it and then you serve it to the people. The same way, once you are cutting your vegetables, that is the cutting files and the editing is done here, then you added the effects, filters and other things you have added, that is the masalas you have added. And once everything is done, then you have to cook the food. The same way you are exporting the videos finally. And what you do finally, you taste the food. The same way you watch the video. That's it. So video making is nothing but a regular cooking what you do at your home. Of course, I generally prefer to cook, and many times whenever I am getting bored, I generally go for cooking only. So that is the reason I have just taken that as an analogy, and I hope we are also closing 1 o'clock, so you will also be hungry. So that also will help you remember how video editing is basically done. And these are all the next screen where you will see the project files. Whatever we were talking about, the video files are actually brought into the cutting area. That is this is maybe you call it like a vegetable, that is a tomato, or maybe it is baby corn, or this is a carrot, or something, whatever you want. You are actually bringing it to the cutting place area, and this, once the files are brought into the project files, they are seen here in the video preview. So you can actually also see what is the things which are present here through the video preview. And the video preview will not come directly unless the files are brought into the track. So the bottom of the screen, you will have multiple tracks. So here we have track number 4, below is track number 3. So we can have multiple tracks for our videos. And we can also have some images and other things. Here SVG is basically an image. So this is the image which is created, and we have actually 3 layers. I'll show what are all the 3 different layers. If you look at the first image, this is actually at the background. And the second image has a circle in the center, and there is a black space outside. So this is the middle image. And the star is the one which is on the top layer. So this way we have a 3-layered image for this particular video preview. So this also we can do effectively into the project timeline, which is at the bottom. So let us recap what are all the steps we can do. So first we need to import the files into the OpenShot. So this is the first step we have to do. And how do we do it? We can actually drag and drop, or even we can open the folder and we can actually bring those files into that particular project area. We can also bring music files and video files. Whatever you want to edit, that can be brought into the project file area. So that is what is the first step we have to do. And here is a folder where we have the files which needs to be imported or brought into the project file area. What you do, you simply highlight and then just drag and drop into this particular project file area. That way also you can bring the files. Or there is a plus sign here. So once you click on the plus sign, it will automatically open up a particular folder, and you select the folder where your videos and audio and image, all the files are kept. You can actually highlight all those images, pictures and videos. You can just bring it into the project file area. Then the next one is, once you brought entire thing, like you brought everything to the cutting plate, now you have to cut one by one. So the same way you are going to arrange everything in the timeline. So drag each photo into the timeline and arrange the photos, whatever sequence you want. Everything you can actually do it here in the timeline area. So this is the bottom place. This is the timeline area. Once the files are brought into the project area, so from this project area, you will just drag and drop the files into the timeline. So here you can adjust which one will come first, which one will come second, which one will come third. So you can simply click on it and then drag and drop to any other place into this particular timeline. So this is generally done. And then we can also add musics to the timeline. If you want to spice up your videos, you can actually add some musics. So if this is a music file, I just again do the same thing, drag and drop into the timeline. So whatever we want to do, basically that is brought into the timeline. And the timeline is the area where you can actually edit the entire thing, whatever you want to edit. So then you basically review the project, how it is coming out, and you can actually play, pause, rewind, and fast forward to see how it actually looks. So far, we have not edited the video. What we have done so far is we have only brought the video and put it in the timeline, and we are just previewing it. So this is the basic operations which are essential for every project. So you can actually click on the play button at the bottom of the video preview. Then the whatever you have put on the timeline will be displayed on the video preview. So then finally, we are cooking our food the same way. We will be exporting the video. So now this is where the files type extensions, what we have discussed earlier, comes into picture. So when we go here, you have the MP4 format, you have the high definition format, you have the high quality one. So these are all the ways by which you are actually going to export your video. If you increase a very good compression specification, then the file size are going to be very small, but the quality can be very good. So that is the reason you have to choose the right combination of the specifications and the export file size. Ma'am, can you mute the person?
Yes, sir, I have done it.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
sir.
No problem. So this is a bigger screen where you can actually see that in a much more clear way. So MP4 H264 is the file compression specifications we are using. This is the codec people generally call it. And this is a high definition video with the 720p format. So, and the quality of your video is going to be high. And then you export the video by clicking here. You can actually export your video. So then it will give like when everything is correct, okay, say okay, then obviously you are going to do that. Now, I'll go through this very elaborately. This is some numbers are given here. We will go through one by one very quickly. So what is this one? This is the place we talked earlier, like this is the main toolbar where we have open, save, export your video projects, and all the informations are given here. So the plus is the place where we can actually open, and whenever we need to bring some files into the project file area. So this is how we start our process. And the second is the function, that is we can switch between project files, transitions, and effect tabs. So project files are our vegetables, transitions and effects are basically the spices what you want to add. So you can move between the vegetable, the spices, and other things, whatever you want to do can be given here. And the third one is basically the area where we are going to cut our vegetable. That is, all audio, video, image files have to be imported into the project. So this is the project file area. And then preview area, we have seen this is where we can actually see the video preview of the files. Then edit toolbar is where we can actually cut the spices, basically the files. If you want to remove the unwanted thing in the video file, what you do is you use the scissors icon and you can actually cut that particular video. See, unfortunately, the time is too short. Otherwise, I would be showing a demo of this. And I can also share some of the videos which I have already created for how to use the OpenShot editor. So the participant can actually watch those videos where I have actually demonstrated how the entire thing is done. So this is only, like I say, this is a theoretical part and that is the experimental part. So being a science person, we generally do both the things simultaneously. So here we are doing the theoretical part only. and the zoom slide bar is basically to increase and reduce the timeline. So you see here plus sign is there. So once you click on the plus sign, the timeline actually increases. Basically, the here if you look at 0040 010, so that means 20 seconds are given here within this distance. Once you increase, keep on pressing plus plus plus, then you can also expand it, like I mean every second can be counted, and even when you increase to a very large number, it becomes like a keyframe thing. And this is the blue one is basically called the playhead, like whenever, wherever, whichever place you are keeping, that is the place you will see on the video display here. So you can actually move it from this end to this end, and so that the video can be played. You can also press the play button here to play the video. You can also move the playhead here to see what is that particular scene which is there. You can also see it. So these are all the two ways how the video can be seen on the video preview. And then this is the timeline where you visualize your general project. Then filters, as I mentioned, you can actually, if you are a creative person, you can also use various filters to spice up your videos. So this is the entire description of how the things can be done. So since I'll be giving this particular presentation, you can go through it very casually. And the tracks and layers are very, very important, because even though we talked about putting the videos in the timeline, there is one important thing you have to keep remember, because whenever we keep anything in the tracks or layers, whatever is at the topmost layer is the one which will be visible, and other things are basically below that particular tracks or the layers. So if you are aware of how to create photos using Adobe Photoshop, then it is very similar to the layers. Like you can create multiple layers for the picture, and you can also edit individual layers separately. The same way here in the video also, you can have multiple layers or multiple tracks, and you can edit individual tracks separately. You don't have to edit the other tracks without touching, without disturbing the other tracks. You can edit each track separately. So that is what is the advantage we have here. So in this one, if you see here, we have a track 4, track 3, track 2. So whatever is the topmost layer is the one which is seen in the front, and followed by the second one. Because if you look at the track 4, there is a star with a black background. And in the track 3, we have a circle or the logo with the black background. So what does it mean? When it is a black background, basically, this can be a transparent one, or it may also be a black one. In this particular case, this is a PNG file, and this is a scalar vector graphics. So these two are basically a transparent images. So that is the reason the bottommost one is basically the full image, which is actually displayed at the back. The circle or the logo is kept in front, and the star is also kept in front. So in other words, now we can see all the three layers together in a single picture. So this is where we can actually do the layers or tracks are basically to keep the things on the same frame. And the cutting and slicing is basically we generally use the scissors icon, which I have shown in the beginning. So that can be used to cut, and the videos can be cut according to that. You can also split the clip. You can drag and drop anywhere. So those kind of things are possible when you do it on the timeline. And then finally, we have the file menu, so which we have seen earlier. So this is the split clip option. This is the scissors which is present here. So you can actually use this particular thing to cut your clip into two pieces, or whatever you want to remove, edit, or unwanted things you want to get rid of from the video. You can actually cut it from the beginning, cut it at the end, then you delete the in-between one which you don't want to use it. So this is the playhead, and while you are cutting your things, what you generally do is you keep the playhead on that exact place where you want to cut, and then use the scissors. Just click on this scissors, then this will actually cut this big clip into two pieces, and then if you don't want the first part or if you don't want the second part, you can simply highlight that whichever part you don't want, click it and simply press the delete button from your keyboard. Then that particular part of the video will be disappearing. So that way you can actually edit it much more efficiently. And see, you can also use some of the transitions if you are interested in. You can actually increase the quality of your video by introducing many of these transitions. And you can also use, see here we have actually given some image. If you look at, there are multiple 4 tracks are there. So we have, here if you look at, there is only clouds are there. But there is some green thing in the front. So how this green thing in the front came? So that means they are basically kept on different folders, and this can also be introduced using some transitions. So these are some of the ways you can actually increase the beauty of your videos. And you can also introduce animations. So from the start of the clip or at the end of the clip, or how you want the animation to appear from edge to center or zoom in or top to center. So various options are available if you want to animate your video also. And if you want to introduce titles, you can also introduce titles. So you can actually have multiple lines shown here. So the file name is here, and the following preview has whatever is typed here is coming here. The following preview has been approved for. Then just for you, line 2. So this is what just for you, and line 3. So these are all the ways by which you can actually introduce some beautiful things to your presentations. And of course, there are animated templates are also available. That also, these are basically the templates which are available built into the software, so you can actually directly import it. Or if you search the net and if some whatever the templates are freely available, you can also download it and use it for your project. So these are all the ways by which you can actually introduce some important things to your presentations. And finally, we conclude our lecture. Thank you, ma'am.
So now I ask all the faculty members to please ask your queries if you have any. Please ask it to sir. Sir, it was a very informative lecture because I enjoyed a lot personally, sir, since you have covered all the technical aspects which are related to online lecture delivery methods. So I strongly believe that this lecture would definitely help us in making our lecture more interesting for students so that they could come and, they feel that urge, okay, we need to attend this class. So it was highly informative, sir, and very beneficial for us, especially teachers, sir, for making the lectures interesting for our students. Thank you so much, sir, for blessing us with such a informative lecture, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Lastly, I request all the faculty members to please fill the feedback link shared in the chat box. And I request you all to be there in the next session that will start at 2:30 p.m. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.